Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video, and today we are bringing it back because it's been a long time, it's been like a year or something since I've done a creepypasta reaction for you guys, and I miss doing them. They were fun to do. They're actually genuinely creepy and unnerving, some of them, so I thought might as well bring it back. So today we'll be watching I Saw Something on the Evening News That I Can't Explain. So without further ado, let's begin the creepypasta reaction.
My work friends and I were out at our favorite bar last night. Not a really fancy place, but, cheap beer and close enough to home that I don't have to drive. The night started out normally enough. The four of us crammed into a small table off in the corner, mostly talking shop and dumping on our boss.
Now see, that just sounds like a good time, sitting with the boys in a bar, or it doesn't even have to be a bar, it could be a restaurant or something. Having a couple drinks, having fun, talking about whatever, and just living life. That sounds like a great time.
Being this was the middle of the week, there weren't too many other people around. Maybe around 8 or 9 others in the entire building. After having a few drinks and generally carrying on, I happened to glance over one of my coworkers' shoulders. From where we were sitting, I had a pretty good view of the television just behind the bar. Jessie, the bartender, was lazily flipping through the channels when she stopped for a moment. On the screen was a brief burst of oranges and reds, which I registered as a fire. Then I noticed the logo in the lower corner of the screen. It was our local news station. I'm not sure why, but I was locked in on that orange glow coming from the screen.
I mean, yeah, I'd be tuned in on that too. If I saw a burning building on the local news, I would immediately just tune everything else out and just zone in on that. Not that, like, burning buildings and house fires are anything to laugh at. They're terrible and I wouldn't wish it upon anybody. But I would still be very just zoned in on it if I saw it on the television.
And almost immediately I recognized the building in the frame. It was my building.
Okay, at that moment, if I just saw my apartment building on fire, I'd immediately just leave and go home to see what was going on, see if I could go in there and just salvage anything. And even if I couldn't salvage anything, I'd still be there in person to see it. But yeah, I don't know why this guy is just staying there watching his apartment building and all of his belongings burn to the ground on a television screen.
Oh my god, I said, loud enough that a few people sitting near me followed my gaze to the TV. That's my apartment. The minimal chatter in the bar fell silent at my statement, everybody now staring up at the screen. The screen showed a wide shot of the exterior of my building. Most of the building was still intact. Actually, if you looked at my building from a different angle, you might not have noticed anything wrong with it at all. The top left corner of the building, however, was engulfed in flames. I say engulfed, but honestly, it wasn't a large fire by any means. But I knew that could quickly change.
Oh, 100%. Fires can spread so quickly within seconds. They were not to toy around with in any means.
Oranges and reds like a setting sun vented out of the two windows, exhaling a thick smoke into the air that blended with the night sky. Jesus, man, one of my coworkers said aloud. That sucks. There was an uncomfortable murmur of agreement that danced around the table. I mean, I didn't blame them, to be honest. I wouldn't know what to say in this situation either.
I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't even know what to say in this situation either. I would just try my best to comfort my friend and try to help him out any way that I can, really.
The newsfeed then cut to a reporter on the scene. He was a thin man who seemed almost excited to be out there.
But just imagine seeing a local newsman being excited to report an apartment fire on the news. And in tonight's news, this apartment building behind me is slowly burning to the ground. Isn't that just the most exciting news ever? And by the way, this is my first news report, so excuse my enthusiasm about this burning apartment building behind me.
Firefighters are expected on the scene at any moment,
He said, firmly pressing into his earpiece.
and hopefully they'll be able to contain this inferno before it spreads any further. As I was saying earlier, it is very fortunate that everyone was able to evacuate the building safely.
Okay, yeah, I was just gonna comment on that if anyone was actually going to die in this story from the fire. But of course, as we both just saw, everyone evacuated the building safely, which I'm glad about.
But then, a few moments later,
Hang on a minute.
the reporter said as the cameraman panned back to him.
We're getting some updated information. It seems... Hang on one moment while we readjust the camera.
The cameraman started to shift the angle, focusing on an area of the building about halfway up the west side. All of the lights in the entire building were out, except for one.
Oh boy,
I
things are
started
gonna
to
start
feel a
going
strange
south now.
creeping sensation build in the pit of my stomach as I began counting the windows from the bottom. 5 up, 2 over. That's my place. I could have sworn I turned out that light, I thought to myself. And that's when I see it. There's a person standing in my window.
Okay, that's low-key terrifying. If I saw my apartment building slowly burn to the ground, and I look up at my specific apartment, and I see somebody in there, I'm actually just gonna start freaking out, dude, because I wouldn't know what to think.
The camera was zoomed out too far to make out any of the features, but it definitely looked like a man, and they were definitely standing in my apartment. I stared petrified as the camera zoomed in closer, the reporter babbling on about the overlooked, ill-fated soul still trapped in the blazing such and such. As the image grew closer on the screen, I began to make out more details. The person seemed to be dancing or something.
Okay, now bro, at that point I'm just leaving and I'm going there immediately to see what's going on. Because if I saw a dancing man in my apartment while it's burning down, I wouldn't, like I said before, I wouldn't know what to think. So I would just go there to see for myself in person with my 2 eyes.
I'm not really sure how to describe it, but the man was moving around a lot. And everything he was doing had this bizarre, almost rhythmic quality to it. He started waving his arms in the air, back and forth, up and down, up and down. He paused for a moment, then started banging both fists on the window. After a few hits, he once again went back to waving his arms over his head. Everything he was doing had the same exact tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. After another brief moment, he started to jump up and down, waving his arms around wildly, almost like he was trying to get someone's attention from a long distance. The camera then got a little closer, and even though it was a bit grainy, I could finally make out the person's features. It looked almost exactly like me.
Oh nah bro, you know what we call that around here? We call that either a skinwalker or a doppelganger. Now do I truly believe in those things? No. But this is fiction after all, so you can include anything in fiction.
He was wearing the exact same clothing that I was wearing in the bar. Clothes I had changed into moments before leaving the apartment earlier. Its face looked almost exactly like mine as well, except for its eyes. Its eyes were far too big for a normal person's.
Now that's just scary. This story is actually scary.
It also had this almost comical look of horror on its face. I don't even know how to describe it. Imagine if someone were pretending to look scared, but as a joke. It would have almost seemed funny if the circumstances were any different. But instead, it was just extremely unnerving. No one in the bar made a sound. Everyone was fixed on the TV. The person was still swaying and waving around, beating its hands on the glass or jumping in circles. I almost didn't hear the reporter mention the fact that the firefighters have rushed into the building and are now heading for my floor.
Oh no, that thing's gonna kill the firefighters, dude. They're gonna go in there in his apartment and that thing is just gonna eat them up or just kill them or something.
Oh no, I thought, without really understanding what was happening. Please, don't go in there. I stared transfixed at the screen. I could feel my eyes growing dry as I refused to blink. From this angle, you could just barely see the top of my front door through the window. not too far behind where this creature was flailing about. At that moment, it was holding its face in its hands and shaking its head from side to side as if saying no.
Maybe it doesn't want the firefighters to go because he's saying no, no, no. If they come up here, my instinct and my nature will be to kill them. Now that's a theory.
Suddenly, the door behind it bursts open, presumably the firefighters entering my apartment. The creature stopped moving. For a split second, I could see its expression change. The comical look of horror had faded and was replaced by a huge smile filled with enormous, jagged teeth.
Oh yeah, it's definitely some sort of demon skinwalker thing impersonating you, bro. And I gotta say, RIP to those firefighters, because they're probably in for a crazy surprise.
It turned in place to face the firefighters. Then, the lights went out. We all just sat there dumbfounded, staring at the screen as the camera slowly zoomed out from the now darkened window. No one in the bar said anything as we all quietly paid our bills and left. I went directly to my sister's place across town and asked to stay with her for a little while. I had told her there was a fire at my apartment and she gladly let me crash at her place.
Okay, so he didn't say in the story that he told his sister about the creature in his window. And that was probably a mistake. I would have definitely told my sister about it. Because number one, it's on the news. And number two, I have many witnesses to back my story up who saw that in the bar. So I would try and spread this around to as many people as I can about my doppelganger skinwalker clone that's up in my apartment window who probably set fire to the building and who killed a couple firefighters.
When I tried to find the footage from the news online later that night, it seemed like they had edited that entire last part out.
Okay, so it doesn't really surprise me that they're trying to cover that whole doppelganger clone thing up. It really doesn't surprise me.
I don't know if any of you on here know what that thing was, but I hope to God they didn't put out that fire. I hope they let that whole entire place burn to the ground.
And that's the end of that video. I personally really like that story. It's very creepy and unnerving. I'd rate it about an 8 out of 10. I liked it. It was really good. So post your theories in the comments down below about what that creature was, how the fire started, why they were trying to cover it up. My personal theory is that it was some sort of doppelganger clone thing, maybe even a skinwalker, who knows, but from what the legend of skinwalkers say, the skinwalker has to actually kill the person to, I guess you could say, assimilate them, kind of like the Thing. And it most definitely started that fire in the apartment building, 100%. And the news and the government and stuff were obviously trying to cover it up. So maybe they knew something about it and what it was. But post your theories in the comments down below, like I said. And that video was very scary. It is currently daytime right now, as you can see. And that video made me kind of nervous. It made me like turn over my shoulder a bit here to make sure I'm alone in my room here. I love you guys. I'm bringing back this creepypasta reaction series, of course, because I really love doing these. These videos are actually kind of creepy and unnerving. I know I've said that before, but I just really love these videos. Most of them are very scary. So yeah, go show some love to Creepypasta Jr., even though he hasn't posted in over a year, which sucks because there's no new videos coming out from him, so yeah. But anyway, I love you guys. See you in the next one. Peace.